So you thought Friday's Notre Dame Indiana game was boring, anticlimactic, and a waste of time? Then we got SMU and Penn State. At least Friday's game was a slow death in which Indiana gave us some glimmer of hope in trying to believe that they had a chance to win that football game. But in this one, the first of the triple header in the college football playoff on Saturday in Happy Valley, forget it. Penn State 38, SMU 10, game over sometime in the first half. Here's how it went. At least early in the ball game, it looked like SMU was actually moving with tempo, keeping Penn State's defense off balance. They had a nice first drive. They forced Drew Aller into a 3-and-out to start the game. He actually missed a wide receiver in which he should have went to him instead of somebody else and got flushed out of the pocket. And it was 3-and-out Penn State. SMU gets the football. They drive all the way down the field. And then Kevin Jennings gives us what he was going to give us the rest of the game on a 4th-and-1 in which he could have ran to the sticks for the first down. He threw the football downfield to Matthew Hibner. It was both a bad throw, precursor of things to come. It also should have been caught. It was dropped. Penn State got away with this one on defense. And that was SMU's shot right there. They should have went up 7-0 right there. They should have converted the 4th down. And that was all she wrote. Kevin Jennings was awful from there. But it was also the Penn State pass rush. Penn State was clearly the dominant football team. So this analysis today is, of course, about this particular football game. 4-touchdown win for Penn State. They move on as a 12-2 football team to the next round at the CFP. And it's also about the big picture of whether the SMUs of the world belong in the college football playoff. Do we have enough inventory to give us, yes, indication, Indiana Friday night, SMU on Saturday, but do we call it quits and revamp this entire system? Of course, we'll address that throughout the offseason, but we will somewhat address it today. Okay. Kevin Jennings, 20 of 36 for $195. So when he threw the ball to his guys, it turned out okay, although it was not nearly enough. His touchdown pass was very late in the ball game. Penn State had this one salted away. So that was the first miscue by Kevin Jennings, a really good quarterback. The next one was lethal, deadly, disastrous. It was a pick six in which he got flushed from the pocket by Keziah Izzard, one of the best interior defensive front guys in the Big Ten, flushed him out of the pocket, and he was off target. Kevin Jennings, one of his calling cards is supposed to be his accuracy on the run. On this particular play, he airmailed it right to Dominic DeLuca, the former walk-on, who took it in for a pick six. Penn State led 7-0. SMU gets the ball back. Brashard Smith, SMU running back, Miami transfer, had a phenomenal season, 1,300 yards, 18 touchdowns. But on this day against the Penn State front seven, 18 carries, 62 yards. And on this play, not just the front seven, on a 4th-and-1, stuffed by Jalen Reed, who was coming up from his safety position. Penn State way too good on this one. And a bad punt by SMU. We saw this on Friday night by Indiana. The punting stats for SMU and Indiana indicate that they're not that horrific punting the football. But in this cold, and their punters just had bad games, and SMU did not need this at this point after they went down 7-0 on the pick six, a poor punt to set up Penn State. However, Miami transfer Elijah Roberts up front for SMU stops the next Penn State drive with a sack. I would have punted the football here. So James Franklin made two, I'm not going to say tactical errors. I'm going to call them question marks. They're questionable decisions by James Franklin. Penn State 4th-and-13. And they went for it. Now, I understand they couldn't have made the field goal, that he felt a lack of confidence there based on Penn State not being a great field goal kicking team, number one. The cold, the wind was in their face. I get that. James Franklin explained that. But at that point in the ball game, leading 7-0, I would have punted the ball. Coffin corner kick. Drive SMU down deep. But they went for it on a 4th-and-13, which you're going to get what percentage at the time? 5 to 10%. Drew Aller actually tried to dump the ball off to Katron Allen and have him run for the first down. I know that he didn't have anything downfield, but you're in plus territory. It's 4th and 13. Drew Aller has improved so much this season. He is a much more confident, in-control quarterback, drilling the ball with confidence and conviction. But on this one, you throw it downfield. You hang one up into the end zone inside the 10-yard line like a punt, and you hope for the best. That's what you do right there. Drew Aller, 13 of 22 on this day, 127, and we will probably not see another game in the college football playoff where the quarterback was less of a concern, just less of a worry, just less of a factor in the ball game than Drew Aller was in this game. The entire factor of the ball game on the quarterback situation was obviously in SMU's camp with Kevin Jennings, a negative factor in this ball game. So it's still 7-0 at this point. SMU moves the football a little bit on the next drive. Roderick Daniels, slip screen, breaks a tackle, gets a first down. But once again, Kevin Jennings, flush from the pocket, throws badly on the run. A horrific both decision and throw. So he throws into traffic, bad decision. But does he make a good throw? No. He airmails it again. I don't even know if he was throwing to the guy in front or behind or where it was, but Tony Rojas intercepted the pass in the midst of all sorts of traffic. SMU apparently on offense not practicing its let's tackle the guy and pursue and get him down to the ground when we throw an interception drill, because he weaved through all sorts of SMU players who made poor efforts to try to tackle him, and we had our second pick six of the day at 14-0. All right, once again, James Franklin goes for it on 4th down. I thought this was a terrible decision, but his team was so much better than the other team, and Kevin Jennings was so awful, and James Franklin's defensive front so dominant in this game, it didn't matter. But you're up 14-0. It's 4th and 1 at your own 19-yard line. Why give SMU a short field? Why give them momentum? Why give a struggling quarterback and a struggling offense life? 4th and 1 at your own 19-yard line, James Franklin. Up 14-0. His defense is playing lights out. He goes for it. And they run the tush push. They don't get it. Drew Aller doesn't get to the sticks. They give the ball up right there. This could have been the opportunity, should have been the opportunity for Rhett Lashley and SMU. And thank goodness for Penn State and James Franklin and all those James Franklin haters out there. Boy, it was right there for the taking. You're up 14-0. Can you imagine what we would be saying right now if we said final score, SMU 31, Penn State 28. Penn State was up 14-0 and went for it, 4th and 1 at their own 19-yard line and did not get it. But Kevin Jennings to the rescue threw another interception. This one, a remarkable play. The first one was a really good play by Dominic DeLuca, and of course, the return for the touchdown. But this one, whoa, batted ball in the air. This is after SMU moved the ball from the 19 down to the 6. They had 2 positive plays, got the first down to the 6, then roll left. Dominic DeLuca bats the ball in the air, reads the quarterback's eyes perfectly to know when to time his jump, bats it in the air, finds the football, intercepts it, and thwarts the drive. From there, it was a lot of Tyler Warren down the field. There you see some marginal stats out of the Penn State offense. Really didn't have to do anything. So consider, yes, the Penn State offense was not clicking, did not have to click. We'll have to see against Boise State and down the road if the Penn State offense can play like it did in the Big Ten championship game. It was mighty impressive in that ball game. Probably the first time in a long time that the Penn State offense has looked efficient, consistent, and explosive against a really top-notch opponent, because they were not that today, but they didn't need to be. Plus, when you're throwing pick sixes, the other offense doesn't get on the field. So when your defense is converting touchdowns, well, you just kick it back to the other team, obviously, in the kickoff. So Penn State's offense was not on the field a whole lot when this game really mattered in the first half. But on this particular turnover, on their own end, inside their own 10-yard line, DeLuca brought it out for some breathing room, and then Penn State finally moved the football there. Tyler Warren on some receptions, Katron Allen, Nick Singleton. Penn State ran the ball well in this game. Singleton, 14 carries, 90 yards. Katron Allen, who was so impressive in the Big Ten championship game, 11 carries and 70 yards, two excellent running backs, both slightly different type of backs. And of course, here in their junior season, showing that Penn State made a great find there with those two guys, two of the best backs in the nation. Katron Allen under the radar, Nick Singleton, of course, the former 5-star. But that led to a touchdown by Katron Allen in which the middle was plugged up. He saw the cutback lane and took it in for the 6 to make it 21-0. Next, Kevin Jennings, SMU drive. At this point, it's 21-0. They went for it 4th and 3 in their own end. And the sack by Denai Dennis Sutton. Penn State set up for another touchdown to make it 28-0 at the break. Last gasp for SMU was basically, well, they got the football the last 90 seconds of the first half. Could not do anything with it. Got the ball first to start the second half. So SMU gets a field goal. They needed the touchdown to start out the second half. It's 28-3, so they're still down 4 scores, still plenty of time, but they never dented that Penn State offense until it was too late. Penn State gets the onside kick. Good move by Rhett Lashley. I can applaud that move. You're 28-3. You at least get a field goal, but you got to start carving into these possessions. You're down 4 possessions at that point, so we went for broke. Penn State wins 38-10. SMU concludes the season at 11-3. So let's talk about Penn State moving ahead to Boise State. This shows that Penn State is a quality football team. We already knew that. Are they an elite football team? Well, this gives us more indication than we thought. Vegas said they were 8 points better than SMU. They were clearly dominant in this game, although Kevin Jennings, again, gave it away. But why did he give it away? Yes, he made bad throws that made it quite easy for Penn State to distance themselves. This was a quarterback gave it away kind of game, although he was forced into many of these mistakes. And at the line of scrimmage, Penn State was dominant offensively, moving the ball. Their two top backs, 5, 6, 7 yards per carry. And then defensively, they were the superior football team. So regardless of the Jennings mistakes, and he's a better quarterback than that, Penn State's better than SMU, significantly better. Do they beat SMU by 4 touchdowns every day of the week? No, they usually win maybe by 14 to 17 points, but clearly the better football team. Okay, it's Boise State. Now, Penn State, you can't expect Maddox Madsen to give the ball away as easily as Kevin Jennings did. So the 2 pick sixes and the 3 massive interceptions obviously can't be counted on at the Fiesta Bowl against Boise State. We'll preview that game, of course, coming up. In terms of the college football playoff and who makes this field, these were not the 12 best teams. Most of us knew that. I knew it. If you follow college football and you assess teams properly, you know that Indiana and SMU were not 2 of the 12 best teams in the country. Did they earn the position? Yes, they earned the position to make it. Again, do we want the 12 best teams in the country? Many of you will say yes. Optimally, yes, we want it. But do we want to destroy college football and the structure of the game by just selecting the best team in the ACC? Maybe the ACC would have been completely shut out this year. If you're selecting the 12 best teams, you shut out the ACC, unless Clemson shows us something unexpected today and throughout the rest of the college football playoff. You probably shut out the Big 12. I don't think there's a top 12 team out of the Big 12 nationally. And you basically have Big 10, not Indiana teams, and the SEC, of course, in this tournament. I don't want to go to that degree yet. I want to see this play out for a couple years. I do want to see some tweaks to the seeding, of course, and we will discuss that again throughout the offseason. But let's simmer down just a little bit. Yes, we saw a bad football game on Friday night. However, if we really look at it, that was Notre Dame's defense dominating Indiana's offense. Indiana gave up a 100-yard touchdown run, 98 yards. But other than that, Indiana's defense came to play, and they did their job. It was not a close game, but it was not an annihilation blowout. We have seen teams get blown out in the past that were capable, worthy college football playoff teams, but they showed that during the season. Nothing Indiana did this season showed me that they were truly a team that could compete for a college football playoff against that type of team, and nothing SMU did, to a certain extent. I think that their season was a little bit more valid than Indiana's, with the close loss against BYU, the close loss against Clemson, and defeating teams at least the ilk of Louisville, being SMU's best win, an 8-4 ACC team. All right, appreciate you being here, the voice of college football, disputed national champions. This is all about the setup to the CFP, about the 90s, and then it's not just a history book. We take all these seasons of the 90s and we dissect them to a T, but then we fast forward them into the BCS, the 14 playoff era, and the 12-team and the proposed 14-team era to let you know what each season in the 1990s would have looked like today. It's a good read. People enjoy it. You will too. You can get the link down in the description section and order this one for $9.99. Appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. We will see you with more instant analysis